what I'll say about this idea then is that when I was teaching a year 10 group a number of years ago, what they struggled with was the idea of revision and how to engage in the revision process. And in my previous school, what they did was to try and get students to engage with the revision process, they set up what they called a revision hub on the school VLE. So they set up a revision hub, and all subjects were tasked with ensuring it was populated with as many revision materials as they possibly could, to ensure that when students went home during the Easter holidays or whatever, they had work to do and they could do a bit of revision. My issue with that was that I'd speak to the students and say, did you look at that materials that are put onto the revision hub? And they'd be like, what revision hub, first of all? Or they'd say, no, I didn't know where to look, or it was like a convoluted way to try and get. They had to click through a number of screens on the VLE or whatever. The students just weren't using it. They simply weren't using it. I actually went to one of the technicians, the IT technicians, and said, is there a way of telling how often students are going on this page? And he said, I can tell you now that I've actually done this before and they don't use it at all. He said, only a handful of students use it. So I was like, what is the point then? What is the purpose behind it? So I thought, what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to conduct a pupil panel. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Should I stop sharing my screen, man? I'll just stop sharing for a second. Can you see me or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back, am I? Sorry. Just add that, may as well see my ugly face while I'm talking. So this year 10 group, I decided to conduct a pupil panel with them, and say to them, okay, well, with the revision, what is it you finding hard? And the most common response I got from, and it was primarily boys as well, was, I don't know where to start. I know there's loads to do, I just haven't got a clue where to start. So I was thinking, okay, well, the starting point is probably the vocabulary, or ensuring that you've got a systematic way of learning your vocabulary for my subject anyway. And they were like, well, I can't, with this vocab book, you guys were given like a vocab book that thick and say to them, okay, go and learn that. And, they're not going to do that, are they? So I said to them, what we'll try and do, we'll try and come up with a system where we can maybe learn some vocab, maybe little and often, and things like that. So we set up vocab tests and things, and they were doing okay with them. They not much better than they would have expected in any case. But then I thought, okay, well, there's got to be a way to get them to focus the revision a bit more and to spend a bit more time on the actual revision process. And it was actually a conversation with a young man called Craig, Mr. Bartonmaths.com. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I've heard of him.
That's his full name. That's his full name, I think. And when I was speaking to you, this is, again, about 5 or 10 years, about 6 or 7 years ago. I remember you said you used Trello to organise stuff, and I was like, never heard of it. And I remember you showing me, I think you had like a certain number of tasks that you needed to do, probably for your website. And you were saying, well, what I can do is I can put all the list of jobs that I need to do on this left-hand side here, and then I can move them to the doing pile that I'm in the process of doing. And then once I've done them, I can move them over there and I can box them off, and I don't need to worry about them at all. And I remember in my household, me and my wife adopted that for household jobs.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it went down like a lead balloon. And
well, we planned our wedding with it.
Did you?
That's it was it was touching.
How many arguments did that cause?
Yeah. I was moving things.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, that's the thing, is that the beauty of it is you share it, don't you? You share that board with other people, don't you? So you might be working on something, like one of my jobs was to put the bin out, or to redecorate the spare room, which still hasn't been done. And you see them on that to-do list for ages, don't you? And if they're not in the doing pile, then people have got a word to say or two about them. So I thought, when I was using Trello with my wife, I was thinking, okay, I could use this then with people who I know are really disorganised in my French group, who I know really struggle with organisation. So I thought, okay, what can I do then? So what I did was, and I'll share my screen again with you, I set up Trello. And this took me a while to do, so I'm not going to say that this didn't take me a long time to do. It did. And basically I went through the specification, and I went through every element of the vocab list and the specification, every topic area as well. And what I did was I gave the title that matched up with the specification. And if you click on each of these, so for example, let me just scroll down here. So if I scroll down to me, my family and friends, which is the first major topic at GCSE, if you click on that, just shout out, Craig, if you can't see this, by the way.
No, I can
try and
see
talk
it.
through as best I can. So once you click on one of these areas of this red section that I've got on the left-hand side here, so all the things that are yet to be completed, then what I've got here is I've got a list of little tasks for the students to do. So I've got here, can I move that? No. You've got like a little 5-minute quiz, you've got a memorise quiz, you've got a Quizlet quiz, and these are all linked in to that particular topic area. So once you click on that, I won't do it now, but once you click on that, that will take you to a Quizlet quiz on me, my family and friends, which will test the students on the vocab needed for that particular topic area. So I was setting students work to do in order to get them to focus on the revision. But the beauty of Trello, as I mentioned before, is that once you're confident with an area, so for example, say they clicked on me, my family and friends, and they were happy with how they were doing, then they could either move it to the amber section or they could actually move it to the green section. If they think that, and we might have done, for example, a vocab test, and they've got 50 out of 50 on that vocab test, they know it inside out, they've done all the tasks that are embedded into that particular card, then they can put that into the green section, and they know that when it comes to their revision in Easter or whenever they start, that they don't need to waste their time on this me, my family and friends, because it's this stuff over here which is the areas that they need to focus their time on. So straight away, over the course of, it was over 2 years that I did it, the way they populated this was, you'd have some over here, you'd have some in there, you'd have a few more over here, and when it came to revision, the students knew that they just need to focus on these sections here, because I'm sure you're probably the same, Craig, when it comes to going over things, you like to do the things you're good at, don't you? So a lot of the students were focusing their time on things that they already knew the answers to, and they could say to themselves, I've just done an hour's revision there on me, my family and friends, I've got full marks, so that's me done, that's my French work boxed off. Whereas in reality, they should be focusing on these things over here. One thing that I really like about Trello, as we said before, is that you can share the board with other people. So what I would do is I would share this board with one of the students, and me and the student would be the only people who own that board. So I can keep an overview of how they're doing it, and if they're actually doing some revision at home. So I can have a little look, I can dip in and dip out and say, well, actually, you got 30 out of 50 on our vocab test, and you've put that into the green section. You need to move it to the amber section until you're more confident with that area. And by the same token as well, you can actually add parents' email addresses in as well. So, and I've utilised it to a large extent for parents' evenings, just said, well, you've noticed, haven't you, on their Trello board that they're not really engaging with any revision at all. They need to make sure that they're using Trello to do some vocab revision or some listening activities, whatever it might be. And then we're coming at it, a two-pronged attack, really, so it's us and the parents as well. And the parents have often referenced it as well in the conversations that I've had with them. But one thing that came out of the pupil panel, so I did a pupil panel at the start of year 10, and I did a pupil panel towards the end of year 11 before they left for their exams. And I said to them, how do you think you are on course for your target grades and things like that? And again, it's primarily boys that I'm talking about here. They were saying that the thing that has got them to the stage that where they're at, which is on target or above target, is using Trello and focusing their revision and ensuring that when they click on these different icons here, that whether it's on their phone or whether on their laptop or whatever, they can just do 5 minutes at a time rather than going to their exercise book or their, as I said before, their big vocab booklet that they use. They can just do it on the move, on the bus, or whenever they wish to. So that's something which was, I think Trello as well, it's not an educational app, is it? It's not an app that's designed for education at all. But I think that it can be used in that way to get people to focus their revision a little bit and ensure that they're spending the time on the things that they need to spend time on rather than wasting precious time.
It's fascinating, this. So just a few questions on this, mate, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So just in terms of the logistics, you create one board, but then what do you do? Can you then copy it so each kid has access to their own? You don't have to do it like 30 times or whatever.
No.
How does it work?
So you have I called mine a master board. So I have a master board and then just copy that master board.
Yeah.
And then in a lesson, I would just get the students to all sign up to Trello, and then get them to copy that master board.
Yeah.
And then they call it whatever their name is. So on my Trello site, I'm not going to put the students' names up, but they've all got their own individual Trello board called their name. And then they're then free to move it around. They would obviously then need to invite you to share that board.
Yes.
And then once you've shared that, once you and the students are both in ownership of that board, you can both click in and click out it whenever you wish to. And as I said before, you can also share it with the parents as well if they want to.
And are you setting that up at the start of the year so they can see the whole course, or is it just something that you do towards revision time?
Yeah, I do it start of year 10, because in year 10 what we do, because there's such a huge number, I think there's over 3,000 words they've got to learn at GCSE. You can't do it all overnight, can you? So it's got to be a well-structured programme to learn the vocabulary. So we do a vocab test every week in year 10, and all the, as I said before, on Trello there, all the vocab test vocab is all linked into that. So the students you use Trello anyway just to to revise the vocabulary.
So yeah, I was going to ask, just in terms of the logistics of the homework, would you'd be setting kids' homework, and the way they would access that homework, like if it was a Quizlet thing or something like that, would be to go through Trello. Would that be right?
Yeah. So if it was, especially if it was a revision for a vocab test, that's primarily what I've been using it for. But obviously on Trello there, you can see that I put Quizlet quizzes, and there's a website called Memrise that we use in languages. You can put any link on there at all, and the beauty of it is that everything's housed in one place. Because as I said before, the issue that the students had when they called it Revision Hub was they were clicking through a number of different slides and different websites and things to get one task. Whereas if they know they're not very good on family and friends, then there's a number of tasks just ready and waiting for them there.
I'm excited about this, mate. I think this has definitely got cross-subject potential. So the resources, you can link to website. Actually, I assume you can attach a document or something like that if need be.
Yeah, I think one thing that I will say as a bit of a caveat is it did take me a long time to embed everything and get it all set up and things. But once it's set up, it's ready to go, and I've used it, the same one, over a number of years, and you can keep adding to it and ensuring that it's all fresh, and any websites you find that are useful can just be added on. But the main body of it is always there once you've done it.
And it's cross-platform, right? So the kids can just get it like an app on their phone, on their tablet, on their desktop or whatever. Yeah. And how much you? Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, one thing that I often do is the students' vocab test would be on like a Wednesday or something, or whatever day it was, and the students would always come in and say, "Can we spend 10 minutes on Trello before you start the test?" And I'd just say,
"Nice,
of course, yeah," because some students probably would have done nothing at home, but at least I know I can walk around and see what they're doing, and I'd just give them the opportunity to do a little bit of last-minute revision, but at least they're doing something. And I say through Trello, you get them into that habit of doing everything through Trello. Then when it comes to revision, they know that that's where they're going to go, and they've got a clear idea of what they're going to do, rather than going onto the school website and just being confused. Because all subjects are different, aren't they? And they will have different revision resources and ways to access things. So I just thought for language, just have it all in one place, and just have it as easily accessible as possible.
That's amazing, mate. And the final question was just going to be the cost. As you're using it, is it free?
Yeah, I think it's again, as far as I'm concerned, it's free. Yeah, I don't think I've paid, unless I have to check my bank account, probably getting free, don't I, every month. But it's free. I think that was one of the big things that you said, it was free. Because I know you
definitely was, But it sounds like you're using it a lot. I wonder whether there's any limitation. But unless you're kicked out of your house in the next few weeks, maybe fingers crossed, it is free. That's brilliant, mate. That sounds like a really interesting use of technology.